guess one of the other motivating, vitalizing things has been my relationship with nature. And I think that's how I managed the actual earthquakes quite well. I didn't see it as the gods against us or some being attacked, as some people felt. One Māori woman described it as Mother Nature turning over in her bed, and I loved that image because that's what it sort of felt like. And I don't think I ever felt as if I was going to be killed, though my house bounced around like a ball because it wasn't tied to its foundations, and the cliffs around me were collapsing with great clouds of yellow dust, and I just kept saying, this is killing people. I knew it was killing people, it was so violent, but I didn't think I would die. And I'm just thinking of some of the highlights of my life out in nature. I did a lot of cycle touring when I was in my 20s and 30s. I still love being out on my bike. We toured in Australia and a little bit in the UK and New Zealand, over the Haas Pass when it was unsealed, up the Whanganui River when it was unsealed, jeepers, round Tasmania, which is quite a hilly island, and I've recently been around there in a car because we were this time exploring Tasmania not from the road but by going to all the national parks, and I really felt quite admiring of my 26-year-old self, or however old I was, cycling around that island. But I loved it, and it was really a challenge to me physically, and having grown up as a bit of a weakling physically, it was great to feel stronger in my body. And I got into tramping in my 20s, and that's been a fantastic gift in New Zealand. The wonderful tramps we used to go on, all those big tracks as well as the less known ones. I think the Heafy track was the first one I ever did, followed by the Wongapeka, and the Hollyford and Milford, and I left a lot of the big ones till later on. Routeburn, Waitutu track, I could just keep on going, lots of tramps we went on. And the pinnacle of my ambition was to cross the Southern Alps, which I did with Richard O'Neill Dean, Robert Crawford and Jerry Bassey, and we went over the Copeland Pass, which I think is now closed, and it was quite a dramatic experience because we had a storm en route and we had to stay in the emergency shelter, which is just a big drum tied down through the ice onto the rocks and nothing in it except a radio and a little platform. And none of us had a comfortable night's sleep, but we were sure grateful for the shelter and the voice from headquarters that came through at about 6 o'clock at night asking how many people were in the hut and were we okay. I've never been so pleased to hear a human voice in my life, I don't think. We got up the next day at about 4 a.m. in my memory of it, and had something to eat, and then got going up to the saddle and stared down the face of this great steep ice face, which we had to go down, roped up together and kicking in our crampons front on to the ice face. And when we got off that, Jerry and Richard went back over the mountains, back out to Otago where they were living, and Robert and I carried on down the Welcome Flat Valley. And it was one of the highest days of my life. Whenever I think about that, I don't know whether I was so thrilled that I was alive or that I'd ticked that ambition off, or whether I was full of endorphins or what the hell, but I was as high as a kite, and I just loved every second of it. I can almost remember every blooming step. I got soaking wet because it was raining as well at times, and I've got this photo of Robert and I down at the bottom that would have been taken by Michael Kerris because he came up from the West Coast Road, and he met us on the track. He knew what day we were coming out, and he came up with some munchies in his pocket. I don't know what they were, but some treats, and took a photo of us. And I love that photo of Robert and I all soaking wet And we've done it. We've done it. And both of us were thrilled that we'd done it because the conditions were a wee bit rough, shall we say. But it made me feel strong in my body. And I was high for a week, actually, after that. But I knew I probably wouldn't do anything more demanding than that with my tramping. But it's been an absolute gift to me, my adventures in the mountains. And when I hear of people now that are going away on some of these big trips, I feel a bit of envy because I'd still like to be out there, but it's not going to be happening now. And also, when I can, I still get out on my bike. It's an electric one now, but I love being on my bike. It's a happy place. Creating, being with people I love, being out in nature, being on my bicycle, being out in the wild. God, there's so much to enjoy. I could keep going. Yeah. I'm blessed. I'm blessed.